Okay, good now Shabbos, everyone. As we get ready for this Parshas Parah, remember there are those that say that Parshas Parah is Doraisa, and there are people that say that women should also hear Parshas Parah. We know that Parshas Parah is to prepare for the Korban Pesach, and that needs the sprinkling of the ashes from the Parah Aduma on the third and the seventh day for somebody that's tamei, so it's really preparation. We are dedicated by the Fisher family, Nishmas Basi Bas Rabbi Shalom ben Avram Alevi, Perel Bas Ruvain. We learn Lili Nishmas David ben Chaim, L'Rfu Shalem, Efel Yomis ben Chayesar, Yaakov ben Bas Yeleah, and for the Schus of Avram and Yam ben Ish ben Malki Yudis and family. We are dedicated by Yoel Klugman and family, and L'Rfu Shalem for Moshe Meir ben Esther Fradel, and Rivka Bashir Aleya, Dvar Bashashabina, Meir ben Chayesar. They should have a refuah shalema b'seich shechel Yisrael. We are holding in the fourth Mishnah, in the second parak of Idiyos, Shloishet dvarim amar Rabbi Yishmael lefnei chacham b'kerem b'Yavne. Three things did Rabbi Yishmael say before the sages in the Kerem b'Yavne. That's when the Sanhedrin was exiled to Yavne, and in Yavne they sat in rows, which resembles vines, so it was called the vineyard of Yavne. Al be'er trufa she'inasuna al gabi yerek shel truma. If a soft scrambled egg was put on vegetable of truma, shehi chibur, it's considered attached. So although normally the hands that are stam yadayim shnias, if they would touch the eggs of truma, they wouldn't do anything to it. However, since the egg is considered one with the vegetable of truma, and the truma could become a shlishi, so the whole thing becomes a shlishi if your hands wasn't washed. However, if the egg hardened and it was like a hat upon the top of the vegetable, and there was a hollow in between, so therefore the egg is considered separate from the vegetable, then ein a chibur, it's not considered attached, and then if you touch the egg, it doesn't become tamei. V'al shiboilis shebekatzer, a stalk of the harvest, v'roisha magia lekama, and this stalk, if you took its head and bent it, it would reach the standing grain. Now, what happened was the harvester forgot this stalk. So the question is it shikha, and is it considered a belonging to the ani? Im niktzera im akama, if when the reaper would reap, he could grab a hold of this lone stalk and reap it together, Harishal Balabais, it still belongs to the Balabais. Vim Lav, if not, so it was already forgotten, it's separate, and Harishal Aniyim, it belongs to the Ani. And the following teaching, the third teaching is Valgina Kitana, a small garden, Shimukafis Oris, which is surrounded with 5 vines that are leaning on trellises, that are leaning on poles, klunzes, poles on the fence that are these vines are hanging on. Now the vines, we know that the minimum amount of a vineyard is 5 vines. There's 5 vines, but they're on the different sides of the fence that encircle this small garden. So im yesh, but if from one side where the vines are, there's enough room for the vintager and his basket, which the vintager is an amma and the basket is an amma, V'sala mikan malay baitzer v'sala mikan, and it was enough for the vintager and his basket on the other side. So between the 2 fences, there's 4 amas. So then tizareya, you could plant inside the area, inside the fence, other seeds, and it's not klei akarem, because this is not considered a vineyard. Of course, you still need to distance 6 tvachim, 1 amma, from even a lone vine. So that means that you would be able to plant an area of 2 by 2 in the middle of this area. V'im lav, but if there isn't 4 amas from one side to the other side, so then it's considered a vineyard, and then loisizara, then you cannot plant in the interior. Mishna Hay tells us, Shloisha devarim amru lifnei Rabbi Yishmael, 3 things they said before Rabbi Yishmael, v'loi amar lahem lo isa v'lo heter. He didn't say one way or the other because it depends. Uperishan Rabbi Yeshua ben Basi, and therefore Rabbi Yeshua ben Basi elaborated what it depends upon. Hamapis Musa b'Shabbos, to break a pus pimple on Shabbos. Im lasis lapeh, if you had in mind to make an opening, not just that the pus should come out, but also that the ear should get in to have it heal, then that's considered making a valid opening, and you would be chayev for baina. But if it's only to get the pus out, that's considered a malacha she'eina tzricha legufa, and therefore it's pater and mutter. If somebody traps a snake on Shabbos, if he's trapping the snake just that it shouldn't bite someone, so he's not trapping the snake because he wants the snake pater. But if he wants the snake for its medicinal purposes, then that's a malacha she'tzicha legufa, and then that's chayiv. The following last halacha, now, the fasin iranios is that a potter would form like a ball of clay, and this ball was closed. Later on, he would break it open, split it, and it would be then 2 open pots. So, but while they're closed, shame tahiris ba'oil amace, they're tar in an oil amace, because they're tightly sealed, and the clay cheres is not mekabel tumah from the outside. However, utumeyois b'masa hazav. This is an interesting din. Since by zav, a zav is metame beheset, by moving something, even a clay cheres that's sealed is susceptible to tumas hesed. This is a famous question that they ask. So how come on Hanukkah, the fact that the oil was in a sealed earthenware vessel, why was that enough? The Goyim had a din of a Tumaz Zav, so even if it was sealed, how do we know they weren't Metameh Beheset? And the Chassam Sofer answers that it was actually not only sealed with the seal of the Kohen Gadol, but riveted to the ground, that it wasn't able to be moved. Rabbi Elazar ben Tzadok Omer, Af b'masa hazav tahira. Oh, you know why? Because this item, since it wasn't split open yet, is not considered a completed keli. So if it's not a completed keli, it's not going to be mekabel tumah. Rabbi say, I want to remind you that Matzah Shabbos we have the pleasure of having 2 blot of Agadah, 2 blot, not 1 blot, starting at 9:45. We also look for sponsors for the Chumash here next week, which we do not have one yet. 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. Thank you very much for joining us, and have a wonderful Shabbos.